Hi, everyone. We'll give everyone a couple more minutes to come in. Hi. We'll get started in a few minutes. We're just waiting for people to get in. Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome. We'll get started in a few minutes. We're just giving people a few minutes to filter in.
Okay, great.
What that got on today? What you got? Oh. Computer up, Jamie. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay, I think we're going to get started. People can enter late if they're running late. So as you all know, you're here for our self-care webinar. I thank you for joining us. So we're going to kind of focus on getting ready for summer break that the kids are about to have, and how to get yourself in a good frame of mind and in a good place to take care of all the changes that are about to ensue in their lives and ours. So just a little bit about who we are, if you're not familiar with us. We are a family-led resource center in Northern Virginia, and we support foster, adoptive, and kinship families who are raising children and youth with special needs, as well as the professionals who work with them. We offer a lot of free trainings like the one you're at tonight. We do consultations with families. We have events. We just had a spring event, and we'll have a back to school picnic in August. And we have a great resource directory on our website. We also run peer support groups, have virtual trainings, and many other resources, as well as being a family partner to the Virginia Tiered Systems of Support, VTSS. My name is Renee Myers, and I'm the content specialist at Form Families Forward. My training is as a school psychologist. And here with me tonight running the tech behind the scenes is Kelly Henderson, and she's our executive director. So I like to always start out the night with just finding out who is here. And you can check more than one role if more than one applies to you. And if none of these apply to you, go ahead and put in the chat.
Renee, you want me to go ahead and launch that?
Oh, did it? It says it launched here.
Okay.
Can you not see it?
See
I'm
sort of a
getting,
black.
getting answers.
Oh, good. Okay, well, people, okay, then you're good. We have a black box in the middle of the screen. I think
Oh.
probably where you're seeing your window. So you can minimize that whenever you have a chance.
Okay, can everyone see the results? It looks like about, we've got 40% foster parents, we've got 60% adoptive parents, 20% kinship caregivers, 40% birth parents. We don't have any professionals here yet, and then we've got some other. So we have a nice mix of everyone that we serve. So school's almost out, summer's gonna be here. You know, everyone's talking about lazy sunny days, the kids are psyched for no homework. All kinds of fun comes to mind, but also in the back of our heads, you know, many of us are thinking about stress, like we're gonna have more time with the kids. There's gonna be disruptions to the routines that we finally have down and that we finally know. You know, what are we going to do with them each week? You know, maybe some of us are going to have different schedules from week to week, maybe even day to day as we do camps or look for babysitters. So just a lot of change on the horizon for many of us. And a lot of this is out of our control, but what we can control is how we get ready for this, how we prepare ourselves, and how we care for ourselves to be able to handle these bumps in the road as best we can. So what do they always tell us to do on the plane? They say, take care of yourself before you help others. And that goes true for dealing with stress. So if we want to be the best caretakers for our kids and our families, then we first have to manage our own stress, because that's how, you know, if we take care of ourselves, then we're going to be better able to take care of other people. And on top of that, you know, when we manage our stress well, we're demonstrating, we're being examples to our kids and our family about how to do it well, so that they can learn how to handle the ups and downs in their own lives. So I have another activity here. So I don't know if you're familiar with annotation, but I'd like you all to mark on the number line here where your stress is when you think about summer vacation and the summer break with your children. What is your stress level? And so if you haven't used annotation before, you go up to the toolbar and if you go on view options and then click annotate and then stamp, you can, and then move your cursor and click on somewhere between 1 and 10. So you go to annotate, or sorry, view options, annotate, and then you can click the stamp and put a mark. You pick the stamp and you can mark. Okay, thank you. Okay, so it looks like we're kind of in the middle, which I think is what probably a lot of us are feeling as we go into summer. Thank you all. And we're gonna get to do this again later in the webinar. So it looks like you've kind of got the hang of it right now. If you need some help, you can throw a line in the chat and I'm sure Kelly can help you with some more directions. Okay, so, oops, let me clear those out. So tonight, as we go through the webinar, we're gonna first talk about stress, what it is and what it does to us. And then we're gonna look at resilience and what it means to be in the resilient zone. Then we're gonna take a look at self-care, what it is, and as well as the road to self-care, i.e. like, how do we do it? How do we take care of ourselves? We're gonna talk about barriers to self-care, and then we're gonna end with how do we create a plan for wellness. So we're always going to have stress. Life is full of stress. It could be small bumps in the road, and sometimes it's hills or even craters. We all have stress. And when we're thinking about the summer, changes in our schedule and routine are definitely going to be a source of stress. Having a child with special needs can cause additional stress in our lives, problems with relationships, conflicts, with finances. All these things can cause stress in our life. And what stress does is it deregulates us and it kind of throws us off balance. And self-care is what we use to help put our lives back into balance. So stress is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from an adverse or very demanding circumstances. So what stress does is it releases hormones, things like adrenaline and cortisol, that can trigger a response that helps us to react quickly. You've probably heard of fight, flight, or freeze. And when we're in danger, that stress reaction is what helps us to react quickly, and those hormones react in order to help us stay safe. So stress result from both positive experiences and negative experiences. Things like going to a party where we don't know a lot of people could be an example of a positive stressful circumstance where like our heartbeat will raise, we'll feel anxious, but it's a good stress, versus negative stress where maybe we're reprimanded by somebody at work, or we experience a sick relative. So as I mentioned, the stress response can look like three different things: fight, flight, or freeze. And we have to remember that these responses are hardwired in us, and that they serve a purpose, they serve a function. It's an adaptive response that humans have, and animals too, that allows us to manage these stressful situations. So think for a moment about your response to stress. How do you typically handle stressful situations? Are you a fighter? Do you flee? Or do you freeze? So as we mentioned, stress can be both positive or negative. When we look at this diagram here, at the top, we can see positive stress. And positive stress causes brief increases in your heart rate and mild elevations in your stress hormone levels. Examples of this might be the first day on a new job, or losing a sports competition. So this stress is generally mild, and we can deal with it easily, when we are have a supportive relationships and supportive things in our lives, we can deal with this positive stress. And then tolerable stress underneath that is more serious temporary stress responses, but also buffered by supportive relationships. This might be like losing a loved one, or a natural disaster, or having a serious injury. Once again, when you have supportive relationships and coping skills, you're able to recover from this kind of these events. And then at the bottom, you see toxic stress, which is like a prolonged activation of your stress response. This is often the case in physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. And it's toxic because it is more long lasting and harder to cope with. There are a lot of different stress reactions. People react differently to stress. Some common stress reactions are anxiety or nervousness, anger or irritability, difficulty concentrating or forgetting, depression, low mood, crying, sleeping too much or too little, eating too much or too little, muscle and body and headaches, withdrawal. So now I'd like to see, I'm going to launch another poll and see how you react to stress. So what are your typical stress reactions?
Renee, I'm not seeing a poll launch. Are you getting responses?
Yeah, I'm getting responses.
Okay, it must be because I'm co-host. I just don't see it. So I'm glad it's working.
Okay, I'm gonna give you like 10 more seconds. Still have some responses coming in. So as we see, there's a wide range of different reactions. People really respond differently to stress. We've got, some people who get anxious or nervous. We have a few that experience anger or irritability. A good number of people who have difficulty concentrating and who have depression or low mood. And same, sleeping and eating too much, sleeping or eating too much or too little, and headaches and body aches, just a little bit of everything there. Oops. So what is resilience? Resilience is the ability to adapt and thrive despite the challenges that arise from these life stressors. So being resilient doesn't mean that we won't experience these difficulties or stresses. It just means that we have the tools to regulate the stress and manage the ups and downs. So the good news always is that we can increase our resilience. There are ways that we can help ourselves to be more resilient. So, and there's no one size fits all approach to doing this. So it's just a matter of finding the things, the routines and the activities in our life, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, the different strategies that we can integrate into our daily life to help us to be more resilient people. And why we want to be resilient? We want to be, if we can manage our emotions in this resilience zone, that's where we can feel capable of handling the stresses. So when we're in the resilience zone, we can deal with it, where we're okay with all these different emotions that come across. We can handle the excitement and the anger and being tired and being happy and being scared when we're in that resilience zone. But when stressors knock us out of that resilience zone, that's when we start feeling anxious, we feel angry, stressed out. We could be on the other end, unmotivated and deflated. And so in life, you probably know people who have bigger resilience zones and some that have smaller ones. Some people have an easier time managing life stressors, and other people have a small resilience zone and are affected more so. But like I said, you can strengthen your resilience zone. And tonight we're going to talk about some of the ways to improve and increase your resilience zone so that you are better able to handle the stresses that will come your way. Oh, went back. Too many. So one way to mitigate stress is self-care. So I want to ask what self-care means to you. So feel free to unmute or put something in the chat, what self-care means to you. Anybody? A long walk, totally. Unstructured alone time, that's great. Watching a rom-com, totally. So yeah, these are great ideas. So according to the North American Council on Adoptable Children, they define self-care as a culture of habits, hobbies, and actions that we practice as a way of helping ourselves. Self-care activities keep us balanced. They can help us to be better caretakers. And by doing these things ourselves, we model a healthy lifestyle for our children. So all those things that just came up, the long walk, the rom-com, time to ourselves, all these would fall into this definition of self-care. So some other ideas are things that can be self-care, can be saying no, asking for what you need, putting yourself first, spending time alone, asking for help, setting boundaries. All these things can be self-care. So what does the road to self-care look like? So first and foremost, we need to give ourselves permission to care for ourselves. I think a lot of us, feel that like we just don't have time for ourselves. We're worried about everybody else. But what we need to do is think of self-care as self-wellness. It's something that we do routinely to keep ourselves well, to keep ourselves healthy, just like going to the doctor for a checkup or eating our veggies. The self-care is important to keep us balanced and well. And, remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you give everything away, you're not going to have anything else to give. So you need to make sure you're filling up your own cup. And the second thing to consider is keeping it simple. If we have some really complex thing, we're going to go to this yoga class on a Tuesday at 5 o'clock, and that's the only time it is, then it's just, it's likely to be pushed back. So you want to do things that can fit into your routine, that can fit into your family life, that work for you. So where you can't make an excuse for putting it off, and make sure you prioritize that and don't overcommit to things so that you don't have time to do it. The third recommendation I have is not to compare yourself to other people. So, other people aren't living your life. Don't measure yourself or your family based on what other people are doing. So set expectations and goals that are realistic for you and that you can do. Fourth, know your triggers and have a plan. What is a trigger? The trigger is a response to a person, a situation, event, or a conversation that provokes a strong emotional reaction from you. So self-care can improve our self-awareness and our awareness of triggers. So, and this includes knowing which activities or which part of your day is the hardest. Is it getting out the door in the morning? Is it meals? Is it bedtime? So knowing this allows you to prepare and to make a plan in advance. For example, if getting out the door in the morning is hard, can you make lunches the night before? Will that make it easier to get out the door in the morning? Or if bedtimes are a really stressful time for you, can you start the bedtime routine 30 minutes earlier so that you get done and allow yourself some time at night? Some of the things we do each day can be thought of as nurturing activities. They improve our well-being, they give us energy, lift our mood, and help us to manage stress, while other activities are depleting. They take away our energy, they increase our stress levels, and they take away from our happiness. An exercise you can do is to write down all the activities that make up your day, start from beginning to end, and then reflect on which category they fall into. If your day has more depleting activities than nurturing activities, you probably need to take steps towards a healthy balance. So when we have more nurturing activities in our lives, we can better deal with stress and difficulties because we're operating from a place of better mental health. One thing to keep in mind is that what's nurturing for one person might not be nurturing for another. It probably depends on the circumstance and the person. So we're going to do another activity here. You get your annotation back out. So view options, annotate, stamp. And then when you think about grocery shopping, Is that experience nurturing for you? If it is, put a stamp up in the nurturing. If it's a depleting activity for you, put it down in the deplete. Anybody else? Or you also come off, feel free to come off mic. But I think about some different things that could make it a nurturing versus a depleting experience. So, for some of us, it might be nurturing because we get to go alone and spend time in the grocery store with no kids. For others, if you're toting a grocery cart and it's meal time and you've got 3 kids hanging off the cart, it could be very depleting. So that same experience could be, depending on how you get to do it, could be nurturing for some and depleting for others, and maybe sometimes it's nurturing for you and sometimes depleting. Okay, let me clear these. How about walking the dog? So I know for me that walking the dog is one of the most nurturing parts of my day. Like, it's not that I so much like walking the dog, but I like getting out in the morning and being able to get out in nature. But there are days when it's depleting. If I'm in a rush and I need to get somewhere and I have to do it, it's like, ugh. So again, different activities can be different to different people, and just depending on the circumstance. How about cooking dinner? Ooh, not many chefs here. Okay. And one more. Oops. Driving to work. And here we see what's, for some people, driving to work is nurturing. Well, for others, it's depleting. Maybe the difference is if you have traffic, or if, maybe you just enjoy listening to your music. It can really, it can be different for different people. But the important part is knowing what in your day is nurturing and what is depleting, identifying those things, so that you can make sure that at the end of the day that you have a positive balance in your bank. So another important aspect of self-care is having down or quiet time. And I know somebody put that in the chat at the beginning when I asked what does self-care mean to you? It's really important for your mind and body and soul to have time to rejuvenate. So you need to schedule a distraction and demand free time when it's just about you. So whether you want to take a bath, or spend time with your pet, or do some artistic thing you like draw or journal, or just listen to music or pray, any of those things. It could be a cup of coffee and the paper, or a morning walk, or for those of you that like your drive, maybe that's your maybe that's your downtime, but just time that's just about you, that's quiet. And be sure to put it on the family calendar so that everyone knows that that is your time. Studies show that noticing what's going right in our lives can reduce stress and improve our emotional and physical well-being. So whether it's first thing in the morning or before you go to bed at night, just take a minute to think about the positive things that are happening in your life that happened that day. And if you can, write them down in a journal or a letter. It doesn't have to be one you send, but something that can help you set the mood and instill hope for your future. So you want to make sure you find times to laugh at silly situations, recognize good stuff in yourself and your children. Try to look for the positives, and celebrate accomplishments, no matter how small they seem. Just taking time out to be thankful and to be positive can help reduce your stress and improve your emotional and physical well-being. Having something to look forward to can improve your well-being and help you better handle stressful situations. So get something on the calendar that you're looking for. Maybe it's a date night with your significant other. Maybe it's coffee with a friend, or maybe it's just a trip alone to the grocery store. But put something on the calendar that you're looking forward to, something that you can say like, when I get through this, I have this. So remember that positive reinforcement works for adults too, not just for kids. We need to be reinforced and have something that you're looking forward to. Having a good support system is really important for self-care. So it could be a trusted friend or a group of friends or a support group. Support groups are really great because it's a chance to share with people who have common experiences as you. And
Yes.
Um,
Roberts saving Obamacare, a fine for having no health insurance may
and you feel like you're with people who just get it. It's an opportunity to talk about problems you're having, to swap advice and resources. So support groups are a really great way to get the support you need to help you take care of yourself. It can be really a really powerful experience. Exercise and physical activity are really important aspects of self-care. It doesn't have to be something really strenuous like a kickboxing class. It could be something like walking around the block or doing yoga or going for a leisurely bike ride. Just something to get your body moving. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which help reduce your stress. And it can also improve your mood and your sleep. And of course, there's health benefits, as we all hear. We talked about all these different elements of self-care, but probably most important is that you schedule them. So they should be part of your plan, part of your routine. So summer break is going to disrupt your normal schedule. You're going to be reorganizing and reshuffling everything. And when you're doing that and you're making your schedule, make sure you plan time and make self-care part of your routine. In order to reduce your stress, make sure you keep your kids in the loop about what's going on each week. So they're in the same situation that you are. Their whole schedule has been, thrown out the window. And so you can help reduce their stress by making sure that they know what's going on. Post a calendar that shows what's happening each day, and have a little mini meeting at the beginning of the week where you say, okay, this week you're going to this camp. It starts at this time, it ends at this time. Afterwards, grandmom's going to pick you up, just so that they know what's happening and how the schedule is going to look that week. Because if they're less stressed, you're going to be less stressed. So you can also do checklists and charts with them. Kids love to check off that they've accomplished something. And make sure that you're scheduling your downtime, your wellness activities, and put them right on that calendar where everybody can see, so that it doesn't get bumped or that people don't forget, like that is your time to take care of yourself, because you can't be a good caretaker and take care of other people if you're not taking care of yourself. Okay, I got a little wellness bingo game here, and you can see if you can get a bingo from your day today, how well you did taking care of yourself, or maybe we'll just have to see if we can do it as a group. So using the annotate, so go view options, annotate, and then the stamp. Click on the things that you did today and see if you can get a bingo. It looks like maybe we have a bingo down the side here, and I see a lot of good activities, a lot of good self-care activities. So that's really great to see. So why is self-care important? It's really crucial, especially for foster and adoptive and kinship parents who are raising children with disabilities, because the toll of caring for these kids can be a lot. It can be really overwhelming. So, and it can result, when we have a lot of stress, it can result in just emotional burnout and physical and health issues. All these things listed here. I mean, guilt, anger, fatigue, drinking and eating too much, health issues, depression, feeling overwhelmed, personal relationships can suffer. All these things, if we don't take care of ourselves, these can all be consequences. What gets in the way of self-care? So fortunately, there are a lot of barriers. So most of us would probably describe ourselves as caretakers. So we take care of our partners, our pets, our children, maybe our parents, and there just isn't enough time or enough hours in the day to do it all. So we want to do it all, and we're in high gear all the time. We want to throw the perfect birthday party. We want to go on all the field trips. We want to volunteer in the community. We want to take dinner to a sick friend. And again, there's just not enough time in the day. So, and then another barrier can be either being willing to ask for help or knowing who to ask for help. We often don't know who to ask. We don't know what resources are available. And all those things can get in the way. If you could put in the chat if any barriers that you have to your self-care. Things that get in your way of self-care. Yeah, not enough time. Never enough hours in the day. Okay, so as you take stock of your own self-care, you want to make sure you look at all the different areas or domains that you need to nourish. So you need to make sure you're taking care of your physical needs. That's sleep and eating, taking care of your health care and your physical body. You need to make sure that you're taking care of your psychological needs. Are you journaling or participating in a support group or asking for help? Your emotional needs. That means, are you being compassionate to yourself? Are you practicing forgiveness? Spiritual. Are you spending time in nature, meditating, attending services? Personal. Are you having short and long-term goals? Do you have friendships? And are you spending time with family? Think about all the activities that you can engage in to nurture each of these domains. And then think about the barriers that could come up and come up with a plan. I'm going to show you an example here of a wellness plan that builds on your self-care routines into your day. So you would think about each of the different domains and an activity that you can do to nourish that area. And then you want to write down when you're going to do it. What's your plan, the date and the time. And then think about what could get in your way and make sure you have a backup plan in case something does get in your way. And then really think about the benefits, like why do you want to do this? What are you going to get out of that? And remember, going back to all the things that we talked about, looking back at the bingo game and the different domains that we looked at, remember to start small and to pick things that you can do that will fit into yours and your family's schedule. Mindfulness is really self-regulation. As a parent or a caretaker, we need to self-regulate before we try and regulate our children. It's emotional contagion. When we do it right, they do it right. Anyone can practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is actually evidence-based, meaning there's science and research behind it, and it does reduce stress. It doesn't cost anything. It can be done anywhere and have a huge impact. It puts you in the present moment. Stress is often what can happen in the future. Mindfulness brings you back to the present moment. So we're going to do a little exercise here to practice mindfulness. So I want you to use your five senses to practice mindfulness. In your head, name 5 things that you can see. Name 4 things that you can feel. Name 3 things that you can hear. Think about 2 things that you can smell. And 1 thing that you can taste. You can do this activity anywhere. You can do it while waiting in line. You can do it in the car. It's a great way to just bring yourself into the here and now. There's also you can find a lot of great videos on YouTube. I'm going to play one now. Get to it. Oh. Here's an example of a mindfulness video that you can find on that.
This is a 2-minute restorative meditation. Thank you for taking care of yourself. Let's begin. Please sit down. Look at the waves coming toward you. Take in the sound. Take a big, deep belly breath in. Watch how your belly fills with air. Release it through your mouth with a big, long sigh. One more, and add a long pause in the middle before you let it out with a big sigh. One more. Good. Now allow your breathing to resume its normal pace. Relax your forehead. Relax your eyes and cheeks and ears. Lower your shoulders. Put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and let your jaw drop into relaxation. Just breathe and relax. Just breathe and relax. You have now completed your 2-minute restoration.
So really, something like that just kind of that helps you to relax and brings you back into the present. And it helps regulate yourself so that you can then deal with stress, that you can deal with your children. Again, you can do it anywhere, in the car. You can do it standing in line at the supermarket, any place. So I just want to end tonight with this analogy that I really like for building resilience. It's packing your emergency medical kit and the things that you would put into an emergency kit. So think you would put your food and water in, which is your daily nurturance. That's, you want to eat healthy, don't skip meals, avoid drinking too much. You want to pack your flashlight, which is a reminder to focus on the positive and remember what we're grateful for. In your emergency kit, you're going to put batteries as a reminder to stay recharged and to get enough sleep. Your cell phone as a reminder to stay socially connected and have a network of support, whether it be friends or a support group, just someone that you can trust and be honest with. You pack your blankets. That's it's a reminder to do something that gives you warm fuzzies every day. It might be going for a walk or listening to your favorite music or enjoying a cup of coffee and a book. And lastly, you always want to pack your map. You want to make sure you have a plan, and you set goals, and you schedule time for self-care. Because if you don't set time for it, it's not going to happen. So that's it. Looks like we're going to end a couple minutes early. If anyone has any questions or comments, we have time for those. And just a reminder that Kelly's going to put a evaluation in the chat. And please make sure that you complete that right when we're done. We really appreciate that. I think Kelly put in there, if you need a certificate of attendance, make sure that you email Stacia, or stacia.stribling@formfamiliesforward.org, and she'll get you a certificate of attendance. Anyone have any comments, questions? Nothing. All right then. Well, it looks like you're out a couple minutes early. Have a great night. Please remember to complete the evaluation that Kelly put in the chat. Thank you all for coming, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Renee, I'm gonna go ahead and shut us down.
Sounds good.
All right, good job.
Bye-bye.
Bye.